So firstly, a very warm welcome, a very good afternoon to another of our Business Showcase interviews. My name's Ron Maycock. I'm the owner of Action Coach Castleford and also of Business Performance UK. And I'm delighted to be joined this afternoon by Jo Finnerty. Jo, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
I was going to say we're I think we're TransPennine. We've got a bit of a lag on the connection, but we'll go with it as best as we can. So there we go. So Jo is the owner of JF Recruitment, and we're going to be hearing a lot more from her in just a few moments. Before we do, though, just really wanted to explain what the purpose of these interviews actually is. So we're surrounded by some amazing businesses in the UK. They've each on their own journeys, and they've each got their own stories to tell, and these interviews help us share their journeys and their stories. More importantly, celebrate and showcase some of their achievements, ultimately to maximize their exposure into the wider markets, whether it be UK, international, or wherever these might be viewed. So it's all done in the purpose of abundance, and it is for the benefit of businesses all over the UK, as I say, increasingly internationally as well. So without further ado, Jo, do you want to tell me a little bit more about JF Recruitment?
Yes, so I've worked in recruitment now for 30 years, 30, and I started my own business, JF Recruitment, 10 years ago. And what we do is supply temporary and permanent and fixed term contract staff to businesses, brilliant businesses that look after their employees across the Wirral, Liverpool, Chester and North Wales. So predominantly within for head office recruitment. So if you walk into a business and you see departments of accounts, administration, customer service, HR, logistics, management, operations, etc., we recruit for all those positions. So all your office-based positions. Anything from a 22k salary up to 60k salaries, there they are our areas. And the industries that we have recruited for, a large percentage of those businesses have been within the insurance market, both commercial and domestic. But we've also recruited for companies within the IT sector, the legal sector, education, energy, HR, health and safety, and property. So they're our main companies, and a few manufacturing, quite a few manufacturing companies as well. So yeah, and we recruit for temps as well for those businesses.
Yeah, okay, excellent. And you said it was primarily sort of functional office based positions within that, so it could be anything from supply chain through to purchasing, procurement, sales, whatever, IT, but the general theme is it tends to be those kind of levels, determined more by function of running a day-to-day business, whatever the sector may be in. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So and within that, then you said that you do all sorts in terms of permanent and temporary contract workers and things like that, or fixed term as well. What's the sort of breakdown within your company, within the market, and is there a main focus? Is it an even split across the business in terms of what you're actually doing? And I guess what's your lead into that? Is it as a permanent recruiter or temporary?
70% of our business is permanent recruitment. So out of the last 1,000 candidates that we've placed in a permanent job, we've raised 5 credits, which means that we've got a 99% success rate of our permanent recruitment hires for our clients, which is great because it shows that we basically are finding the right candidates for the right jobs for our clients. So that's us. About 70% permanent, and then 30% is temps contract. So it could be somebody for a couple of weeks or somebody for a couple of months, or somebody 6 months, or ongoing. So we recruit for temporary staff as well as permanent, but permanent is the majority.
But there's the sort of main lead in, and then if there are consequential positions afterwards, then you tend to look at that. And interested to know what your personal journey's been then. You said you've been in recruitment for 30 odd years.
Yeah.
And then after 20 years went through the proverbial entrepreneurial seizure, as Michael Gerber would explain it, and set up your own business. So what was the motivation? What was the drive behind doing that?
I joined when I was working for a previous recruiter. I joined BNI, which was Business Network International. Do you know of them? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I became a BNI member, and I saw the value as a BNI member. And when I joined, within about 3 months, I was the only employee in a room full of business owners. So there was about 25 to 30 business owners who were all tapping me on the back saying, why have you not got your own business? You should do it. And I'd never really, thought seriously about starting my own business. But they really dripped that into me. And it was a case of, okay, well, if you don't have a go, you don't know, do you? And it just became more and more of a push to do it. And so I saved up and had my nest egg there. And so after a year with BNI members, I had enough money. I think I had about 10 grand saved up. And I said, right, okay, that will last me a year. 9 months to a year, and if I can make a go of it, then great. If not, I'll just get another recruiter job. It's fine. I can walk in anywhere and get a recruiter job, because I had about 150. I was 100 to 150k biller. So it was, I knew that I could pick up business quite quickly and bring in fees for my employer. So I had a fallback plan, but as you know, once you start your own business, you will do anything not to go back into employment with another employer. You want to make it work, and you'll put the hours in, and you'll put the training, and you'll develop yourself. And the best thing that I've learned is just throw your own ego out the window and just keep learning, and put your hand up and say, I want to learn. How do I do this? How do I do it? And keep asking for help. Because you don't want to have a closed business and then have asked for help when you could have. And there's so much help available. And because I kept my BNI membership all the way through, and I'm still a BNI member now, there's a room full of people, that throughout those networks over those years, I've got such a large network of business owners that have been there and done what I want to do with JF Recruit. And so I can go to them at any time and say, oh, this has happened. What did you do? This has happened. What do you do? Because as a business owner, you can't moan upwards. There's nobody to moan to, is there? Or there's nobody to say, help. Unless you've got a business coach or mentors or people that have been where you have been, because you wouldn't do that to your staff. You wouldn't say, oh, this has happened, because they are looking to you as the leader of the business to have the answers and to be vulnerable sometimes, but ultimately to have the goals, to have the vision, and to lead by example. So yeah, that's why I started the business. It was a push. It was a little push to say, what if you did do it and it was really successful? How great would that be? I love it every single day. I love what I do, because I'm still doing what I was doing 30 years ago. I'm still, we are matchmakers, aren't we? Matchmakers with people and jobs, people and businesses. getting the right person in the right job with the right company that everybody's happy with. And so the end result is a happy client. One of our happy clients, we have a happy person who's in a job that they love, on a salary that is great for them, working the hours that they want to work. And then they can then plan their life, because I know I've been made redundant a couple of times in my career. Horrible. Okay, other people may have been made redundant, but at the end of the day, it's still personal. It's really personal, because you're like, well, why me? And everything stops, because all your plans stop. You don't book holidays. You think, oh, I can't buy that. Will I have the money? So I know what it's like to suddenly not have a job. And so when you do have a job, you can then start to plan your life around. That's what I think anyway. I just feel that if you haven't got a job or money coming in, your first priority is then to go and get that sorted. And once that's done, hopefully you can just carry on with your life. So I have the best job. So to be able to have those end results for each of those parties, and for my team, we're a team of 3 at the moment. So there's me, that is the strategist and the business developer and the networker. And then we have Claire, who's our operations manager. She does the account management and some sales. And then we have Faye, our super Faye, who goes and finds the candidates, as well as Claire. Claire and Faye are amazing candidate and person finders for the jobs. And I do some of that as well. But we each work to our strengths. So gone are the days when you are a 360 recruiter, where you do everything. You get the business, you find the candidates, you account manage, you fill the jobs, you then do the aftercare and the account management. We don't, 360s are not in the industry anymore. We've split them all out, split all those roles out, because to recruit a 360 is really hard. And the thing is, in any business, you want people working at their own strengths. I know I am good on sales and networking. I love it. And strategy. And if I can work on that 100% of my time, then it builds our sales funnel for the business. The same with Claire. She is working the maximum capacity in her role. Amazing. And the same with Faye. And then we outsource practically everything else in the business. Marketing, IT, everything else that goes on with the business is outsourced, because we can afford to do it. But we've built that up over, I used to be everything. Obviously you are when you start the business. Within the first year, I was everything. And then you make enough money and spend nothing. Spend nothing. It's my advice. Just invoice loads and spend nothing at all. Even if you may want to put a company car through the business, don't, just wait and wait and wait. I've always got 6 to 12 months worth of overheads in the business, because the pandemic really scared me. But I've always done that from day one. I've always had enough money to cover in case of an emergency, because you never know when that's going to happen. And so, yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And your passion for what you do clearly comes across, and that's absolutely brilliant. It's interesting what you were saying about the way that the industry has moved on, and a lot of people listening to this may have perceptions of recruitment as an industry, having worked in it or been supplied by it. And actually, it's interesting to see how that's changing. There was always this concern that there were too many self-proclaimed experts because they've made one placement in one particular area and suddenly go, that's it, I know about your industry kind of scenario. There was always a stigma almost attached to it. Playing to your strengths, identifying what you do brilliantly for someone else, and the way that you related the value that you add basically related to the success that you bring others is a great way of moving forward, and that will engage you with or entwine you with sort of business journeys where they don't see you as merely somebody filling a job. You're getting what this is as part of their journey, what it means to them as a business, and that's giving you pleasure as well, which, you know, double win kind of thing. So you said that from a personal level, your experiences had formed to an extent some of your beliefs around what's a safety net of running a business, having that reserve in hand. And you said that that was also brought a little bit more to the forefront through COVID and through lockdown, which, you know, for a lot of people, you know, it was that great unknown. It has to be a scary thing. If that didn't scare you, God only knows what would. But in business, it scared us all because the rule book got ripped up. So what did you have to adopt, and what have you adopted from lockdown that you're now using into the future?
Okay, so good question. So through the pandemic, I ran the business on my own and put my staff on furlough and gradually brought them back. So it took, I think I was on my own in the business for about a year, and I networked like a fiend on Zoom and on Teams. So I made sure that we were still highly visible as a business, and we were still in business. And I serviced the clients that we had. And some of our clients, you know, went. Some of our clients closed overnight. And some of our clients just went very quiet very quickly, you know. And it was a case of, I looked at our the bank statement, and I thought, right, what needs to come off? And I took, I think I took about 10 grand off the overheads within a week. Because it was a case of, okay, what do we need to cut right now? And it was everything that wasn't going to bring us money. So lots of discussions with lots of suppliers who were great. And obviously, you know, suppliers like my insurance, my IT, my recruitment database, that we needed those. So they kept paying for those, but there was lots of other things like memberships of other organizations that we said, well, we're not going to be networking with those, so they need to come off. So lots of that to be done. First and foremost, looking after the staff, put them on furlough, explained how that all worked. Then the money side, and then it was right, okay, let's go and get some more business and service that in the meantime. So did that, and then gradually made the money to bring the staff back over time. And what we found since that happened is that say 20 years ago, say 10 years ago, we would speak to 8 candidates in the morning, and they would all want full-time hours, an entry-level job at 22K, admin, working down the road, decent pension, 25 days holidays, quite standard. 8 people, the same conversation. Go back to this morning, okay? We speak to 8 people. Every person wants something completely different. So you could have part-time hours, weekend working only. They want weekend working only. They want to work nights and not through the day. They want hybrid. So 2 days in the office, 3 days at home, 1 day in the office, 4 days at home, whatever suits their lifestyle now. They would like 100% office because they've been working from home and they don't like it. It doesn't suit them. It's affected them mentally. and they need to get back into an office quick because of their own mental state. They really miss the being with people. And then you have people that just want to work from home. They don't need an office. They don't want an office. They are quite happy working via Teams. Location is still important, but if you're working remotely or 2 days a week, does it really matter that much? No, it doesn't to some people. Whereas location was a big thing. You know, if you could work down the road, 5 minutes down the road, you're cutting down on your cost of living. So and types of jobs. What's happened more recently is that people are affected by the cost of living crisis. So we've had more than normal, more calls from people who are in a job at the moment, but they're not getting paid enough. And there's no option, there's no future, nothing in the future that's going to give them more money with that company. So they're saying, okay, we don't care where we work for the next 2 years, but we want a 10K uplift, or we want a 5K uplift, 8K, because our cost of living, we've got a house, we've got mortgage payments, we've got this, we've got kids coming back from uni that we've got to pay for, lots of stories, but basically it's cost of living. So the number one reason why people leave a job is still bad management. Still number one, and very rapidly rising to number two is cost of living. So it's salary. They want more money right now because they are really, really struggling, and they may love the company, they may have been working there for years, but that company has also been through hard times, haven't we all, over the last 5 years? You know, not everybody, some people do really, really well, but that a lot of companies have suffered over the last 5 years, and so they haven't got huge amounts of money to pay their staff and to give them all. If you give one person a pay rise, are you not having to give everybody a pay rise? And that is, for some companies that are just managing to scrape through, to then give that employee 5K pay rise, and they, you know, they may deserve it, and the marketplace may be saying that person should be on 5K more, they can't afford it. So those companies are losing talent, really great talent, through no fault of their own. I don't know, but if we didn't have the cost of living crisis, would that person be on the lookout for another job? Possibly not. They love where they work, but they cannot afford to stay there. So that is what is happening at the moment out there, and on the candidate side, on the business side, on the company side. It is a case of, you know, companies are saying to us, what can we offer our employees to make them stay, to persuade them to stay? And I always advise, just ask them what they want. Survey your staff, speak to your staff. If you're having regular meetings one-on-one, and or your team leaders and your managers are being great managers and having discussions with their staff, how are you? How's everything going? What can we do more for you? All the questions that you are asking in a normal update, monthly, keep in touch meeting. And those meetings can be, you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever the employee needs. It's a case of work through what they want, because some businesses will bring in, like they used to have, you know, fresh fruit Fridays and fish and chip Fridays and let's all go to the pub. And well, not everybody wants that. They haven't asked the staff what they want. They just assumed they would all like to go to the pub. Well, you may have people who've got issues going to the pub. You've got to know who you've got working for. You should know, you know, you are employing these people. You should know your staff. You should know what they want, and you should know that by asking them. They are your business. If you haven't got great staff, you haven't got a great business, have you? You know, they are flying your flag. So even more now, it's because it's candidate driven, and it was that before the pandemic. It was becoming more and more like that, because we've, you know, through the pandemic and Brexit, the UK have lost 1 million workers, over, you know, 1 million workers gone across all sectors. So everybody is struggling to recruit. So how do you attract, recruit, and retain? How do you do that? Well, you've just got to be able to offer a really good package, and a really good flexible package to your employees, from having conversations with them as to what they want, and like a pick and mix. You know, they can choose more holidays but less pension, more pension, less holidays. They can buy holidays if they want, buy extra holidays. So there's and you know, you're really good HR people, of which we've got loads of contacts in HR, who will talk to you about that and give you ideas, and just help you to become an employer of choice, because everyone wants to work for an employer of choice that listens to them, that looks after them, and pays them. That's all you want out of a job, isn't it? And you'll retain your staff, your good staff. I mean, there may be situations where you have people that are so ambitious that you haven't, they hit a ceiling with your company, and that may be there's nothing you can do about that. But at least you've given them what they wanted, and your staff leave not wanting to leave, but knowing that they have to leave because they need to be with a bigger company or whatever. So yeah, that, you know, companies have a greater responsibility on that side, because it's candidate choice now, candidate driven market. They can choose.
Yeah, one of the interesting things in that, there's, as you were saying, the number one reason people leave an opportunity or employment is down to the management. And some of this, I suppose, from a candidate side, is educating the candidates to give enough latitude, because this is a learning curve for a lot of businesses. They've been thrust into a position where they have no choice but to change how they operate, how they manage. It's not before time. If I'm going to be brutally honest, we've been running a very archaic kind of management system for many a year. And one of the things that comes out of that is this concept that you are managing people, that you have good managers. It's absolute nonsense. It doesn't exist. The main concept is you manage things, you manage performance, you inspire people. And it was interesting when you said that you get people saying, I love where I work, but the reality is I just can't stay there. Not so long ago, it was very rare that people would say, I love where I work. And if they did love where they worked and liked what they did within that, that was certainly enough to keep them there. There is the pressures of reality and living, and that they've got to get a fair day. And it's striking that balance, I guess, at the moment, of educating businesses that there's one thing to offer this, but if this is just a peace offering, kind of almost a bribe to come and work for us, look at us, we're a great employee, they're not backing that up with how they respect and interact with that person as an employee, then they're never going to retain those staff in the first place. So it's actually re-educating the market, which is, it's going to take time. It's going to take time, but businesses they're going from this 80s, 90s kind of performance to actually trust is more important. You know, and the inherent performance, I'd rather have an average performer with high trust who's engaged in where they want to be than the top performer who's toxic. And actually, it's the senior management that are having to adapt to this, because they're not this is new. They've done it for so long in so many, for so many years in a certain way, and now it's been thrust on them to, you have to do it. And oh, and by the way, we've cut off X amount of potential opportunity or options that you've got. All of a sudden, figure out another way. So they're still learning, and I think some of our sort of responsibility is to educate people to be vocal, to interact, to not feel subservient, but do it with the right motivations. If it's too aggressive, just going, I want more, well, that's where you're going to hit an impasse, because some businesses have no more to give.
Exactly.
They're struggling. They're in survival mode. And the one thing, as much as they want to do it, they can't.
And
working
it's also,
with the person is, and working with that business and having that open interaction, I think is the real key to this. So really interesting on that. And so from your own side of things then, where are you seeing trends in the market? Where's that driving your business now and in the future? Are there particular sectors that you are finding more success in, or finding more credibility, or whatever within those areas?
Well, over the last I do like a little inventory of my business all the time, basically. And when you hit a milestone of 10 years, like we did last week, there were a lot of, we've got lots of people, a lot of our clients, and lots of people say, well done, 10 years in business, amazing, that's great. We should celebrate. And I thought, yeah, it's great. It is great that a business that I started 10 years ago is still here. I've got a great team, and we've got a great reputation locally. You can't ask for better than that. But for me, I thought, this isn't where I expected us to be, figures wise. I wanted us to be further forward than where we are. And so, yeah, it's great, still in business, great. But 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, I don't still want to be a team of 3 invoicing the amount that we are invoicing at the moment, which is good, but it could be better. So it's a case of doing work with the team and our processes and our procedures, and deciding on a niche and maybe a couple of niches into our business going forward. So when we looked at, how much we are invoicing at various different sectors, we are really good at insurance jobs, really, really good. And that's 60 to 70% of our business. And really, we should be niching in that, and we should be telling everybody throughout our marketing, we've got great candidates in insurance that are looking for roles. We've got a database of really good candidates, and we've got some great insurance clients. And so if we spread the message throughout our marketing that one of our big niches will be insurance, then I think that's going to be the making of us. And so that is what we are going to do. And we've already started the process. So, we are, the business recruitment is candidate driven. So we have candidates across the country and locally that work in that market, both through domestic and commercial insurance. So we are placing those candidates daily. And I just had a chat to the team, and I said, this is an opportunity really to grab hold of. And we should have done this 4 years ago, but we're doing it now. So it's not to say that we're walking away from all our other clients. We're not saying that at all. What we're saying is that we're going to niche into one of our niches will be insurance, and so a lot of messaging across our marketing will be that over the next, well, from now on, basically. And if we can carve out a niche for ourselves within that market that we're already in, then it's going to be very easy. It's going to be a lot easier to scale the business, because I really want to scale this business, double and triple the team numbers, but also maximize what we get out of each team member to make sure that they are doing what they are really good at and what they love doing. Because if you're in that job and you 100% love what you do and you're good at it, then that's great for me, isn't it? Great for me, great for JF Recruit, and great for them, great for our candidates, and great for our clients. So everyone wins, and that's the future of JF Recruit. So that's what we are going to be looking like and at, and that's going to be the future focus for the next couple of 18 months, next 2
yeah,
3 4 5 years.
it's almost a dual branded exercise, isn't it, where you've got your businesses across the Northwest, and you're still going to continue to do that, and then you're going to have almost a separate profile, whether whether it's branded as JF Insurance Recruitment or JF Recruitment Insurance, and whatever. Of this is across the UK. It's not just Northwest. This is industry specific rather than geocentric. However, you go down one route and ignore the others, then you're going to have casualties. If you push too hard and just go it's all that, then or you don't push hard enough and say we're a specialist in this area, they'll still associate you with the Northwest bit. So it's striking that balance of a dual approach and saying, actually, if it needs a separate brand or whatever, that's fine. What I love is this is about congruency of your marketing message, that everything that you do, everything that you say will be promoting this is who it's for. So it says exactly on the tin what you do, who it's for, who's going to benefit, and therefore why would you buy into it. So really interesting and exciting times as well.
It is, yeah. You've got to have some excitement, haven't you? Every day should have excitement.
It'll be interesting for yourself, having had your journey of, and I mean this in the nicest way, but being a generalist in terms of recruitment across multiple areas, and just being, in the Northwest, to, hey, now we're going to be, raising our hands and basically saying, hey, look, we're experts in this field. So it's going to be a change for yourself. And exciting, because change means that you're constantly progressing. If the financials and everything continue to make sense, then you'll continue to do it. But fair play for giving that a go, rather than just resting on saying, oh well, we'll move from the Northwest and we'll go down into the North Midlands or something, and broaden our spectrum by just doing that. Yeah, there's lots of local recruiters doing exactly what you're doing, probably in the Midlands. So, it doesn't really differentiate that much. So if there was one thing that you identify with, that you would want to be seen to be different for, what would those reasons be?
I think it's our success rate. You can talk about, every business can talk about being passionate and being, thinking all the buzzwords that that you've heard. And at the end of the day, I'm all about facts and figures. And the facts and figures for us are out the last 1,000 candidates that we've placed, we've got a 99% success rate, which is unheard of within the recruitment industry. And what I mean by that is that within the first 8 weeks, you'll know from your recruitment days, you have a rebate period. So the first 8 weeks, anything goes wrong with that candidate and they leave for reasons other than redundancy, then we will either refund the client, so we have to give money back after all that work, or we recruit a replacement, which is still more work. So you don't want that. You don't want an unhappy client. and you don't want an unhappy candidate. So our testament with regards to those figures and that success rate shows that we are doing what we our processes of recruitment is the correct way to do it. So, you know, for example, our fair went on a training course with other resources from lots of other agencies, and she was the only resourcer that interviewed candidates. So we were like, well, how did they play? How did they place? What was their hit rate? And the hit rate wasn't good. Their success rate wasn't good. And they were amazed that Faye spent, and we spent 45 minutes with each candidate, finding out what they've done in the past, what they want in the future, what salary, what type of company they want to work for, all the questions that we ask, which is a lot. We ask a lot of questions. Because unless you know that person and know what they want, how are you going to get what they want, and will it be a good match for them? So it just shows that success rate that we have, that I know not every agency out there has. We don't cut corners, and you know, we Claire is our compliance queen. We're not allowed to cut corners. Not allowed. You know, we recruit like I did 30 years ago. You sit with the client, you go through their business, you know, what's important to them, discuss their culture, their beliefs, asking why their staff continue to work for them after all these years. What, you know, speak to their staff, find out. There's lots and lots of things that we go into, and then we will come back. We'll speak to our database of candidates that we've got already registered. If there's nobody there, we then go to market. And so throughout all our processes and our candidate attraction and our candidate interview, right through to offer and negotiation, and then our aftercare service, all that is done as a fail-safe to make sure that we hit that success rate. And that's all I can say about that, really, because we just continue in that vein and get more of the jobs that we are good at filling, and filling great, finding great candidates and great jobs for the great candidates that are available. Then we just do more and more and just build the team.
And I suppose almost as a and there's no right or wrong, and it could be a blend of the two, I guess, on this. Forgetting market circumstance, which is driving, as you said, it's a candidate-led market at the moment. There's a shortage of people, therefore they're in higher demand, and retention is an ongoing issue for a lot of businesses out there, when people are pushing so hard to retain existing staff and counter offers and all this kind of thing, and then equally you know, finding those right environments for people to work in. But putting that to one side, and as market forces, do you see yourself as a business as fundamentally driven by the candidates, or are you client-led, and client-led, or are you happily sat in the middle of the two? I know where with my business, which I shut down nearly a decade ago, kind of thing, in terms of that side of things. I know which direction I took it in, and it was a conscious decision to go down one of those. Do you see it as, is it a blend? Are you primarily candidate or primarily business led?
We are both. But you know, there's no good having 100 vacancies if you've got no candidates. So, you know, it is candidate led as well. There's a higher, I'd say a high proportion. If you look at a pie chart, the 60-70% candidate driven, 60-70%. But
okay,
the clients can drive it. Businesses can drive it if they've got a great offering. They've just got to look at their offering. You know, if you had a, you know, you look at who do people want to work for? Who do people want to work for out there? And they don't all. So some businesses think that everybody wants to work for companies such as Unilever, you know, or okay, your big brands, why are they, do they have any problems recruiting? Why not? Okay. But not everyone wants to work for that size of business. There are a lot of people that want to work for local SME businesses, because when you work for a local SME, you learn from the ground up and you see every cog in every part of the business in an SME. And that's really, really interesting. It was always really interesting to me. I never wanted to work for the big companies because I just felt as if I'd just be a little cog, and I want to know the ins and outs. I'm very nosy. I'm very inquisitive. I like to know everything about what's going on with the company, you know, and you know how they make the money and how I can add value to that business as an employee. That's why I would go and work for a company. I would want to know everything about them, but I also wanted it to be big enough or small enough that I could personally make a difference. And it may be hard to do that with a bigger organization. So, you know, it's horses for courses, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you have a person that is looking for a job and they want to work for that particular business, then, you know, if everything fits, then why not? Even if you haven't got a vacancy, sometimes, you know, you have somebody who's coming to you saying, I want to work for you, because etc. And I think sometimes business owners don't realize how good their business is. They will worry and think, oh, we're not big enough, we're not the Unilevers of this world, why would anybody come? Well, you know, there's so much more to offer. If they had a chat and interviewed one of their or interviewed all the staff and said, why do you work here? I think they'd be very surprised and very uplifted by their answers. It's like when you ask your own friendship group, isn't it? You know, sometimes if you feel a bit down, I feel a bit, oh, you know, it hasn't gone well today, or something's happened in your life, and you think, oh, I need building up. So you'll ask your close friendship and family group, give me one word that describes me, you know, and immediately you'll get lots and lots of love, and you'll think, oh, that's amazing. I'm, you know, life isn't as bad as what I think it is, and I'm not as bad as what I think I am. Same goes with companies and company owners and managers within companies. They may think that everybody's against them, but if you don't ask them, you don't know. And it's all about throwing the ego out and just asking and being open and transparent. And that's how you learn. That's how every employee, every manager, every business owner, that's how everybody learns. And if you just assume and worry without asking for help and asking, then you just don't know. And I think there's a lot of that goes on within business. People will silo themselves, and it's just not good. So you just got to throw the ego out and ask for help. And yeah, it's going back to your question, it's 60-70% candidate driven, but companies can do an awful lot more.
But we back in the day, in a very niche market, we were only in a certain area, and we dealt with a supply crisis where the qualifications needed within this particular sector were so high, there was just such limited supply. And we went down a different route, and it's what I was saying about the business side. So I took our business down the business orientated, because they were acquisitive on a global basis, on a global level. So they were acquiring businesses with talent within them, and it became a due diligence, a human capital due diligence on how can we retain these people coming from a small couple of $1 million business being incorporated into a, you know, $250 million business with global operations. how many of these could we actually retain? So they were there, they were in the industry, and instead of actually going out and saying, we've got a vacancy, come and work for us, they just bought the company. So they would buy the resources, they would buy the assets, and then it was, who do we want to keep, who don't we want to keep, who's going to naturally disappear. So we dealt with it in a very different way, because it was the same problem, but we had to show that we were absolute specialists in that area on internationally sourcing the best people. And it might be there's only 10 people in the whole world that could do the job. And then they're talking about a shortage because they're already working for someone else. If you can't buy them, how do you attract them in? So it's dealing with the same challenge, but I think the message is be clear on what you do and why you do. Yes, you can have a blend, and I totally get this. You without one, the other doesn't exist. You can't just represent one side of it and not ever fill the jobs with candidates or whatever it may be. But there's actually a lot of other services based around that can be appealing to other businesses. And what I loved was on a local basis, what you actually offer potentially to candidates is a journey based on experience of why local SMEs might be a better option than packing their bags, going to London and going to work for a faceless blue chip. So it's interesting, you're retaining talent into the geographical area by educating people that there is a local solution, and if that meets your personal aspirations, why not? Why not enjoy it, have it local, and do it that way? So great sort of share from there. So well, that's starting to bring us towards the end of the interview. So Jo, are there any areas that we've not covered that you going, oh God, I wish I'd said that, or we've started putting some of the words to right in terms of saying where you are, where you're going, and what the future is starting to look like?
No, I'm all good. I think I've covered what I wanted to say, which is great. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, fantastic. Well, all that remains to be said is thanks to Jo for joining us and sharing her journey. There's some great stuff going on, and it does give confidence to people in your area that there is someone fighting your corner, finding the best opportunities with all the right motivations, who loves what she does and has formed a business based on that satisfaction based on other people, not just on yourself, which is great. It's very altruistic and will serve you very well, Jo, into the future. So as well, thanks to everyone who's been watching this. If you're wanting to record your own showcase interview, if you're wanting to spotlight or shine the spotlight on your own business, share some of your successes, share your journey, share what's happening, new product launches, new offerings, whatever it may be, just get in touch. When we sort of promote and publish these videos, whether it's on LinkedIn or YouTube, we'll always put a link on how you can record your own, how you can book in so that you get that same opportunity. As I said right at the very beginning, it's for the interest of businesses across the whole of the UK and potentially further afield. And if we don't shout about all the wonderful things that are going on in our regions, then quite frankly, no one will be shouting about it if we don't. So it's promoting that so that more people are aware of some of the things that are out there and how it could benefit their journeys as well. So thanks again to Jo, and thank you to everyone who's been watching. It's been Ron Maycock presenting another of our Business Spotlight interviews. We'll see you soon. Take care. Keep smiling.